What's going on, everybody? Eric here, driverlineup.com, world's okayest steering wheel holder. Back with videos from a truck. I'm currently sitting in a Freightliner Cascadia, and we got a lot to talk about that in the next couple weeks. A lot of you are waiting. Thank you all so much for the comments on the last video. It really was nice to see comment, especially the comment about back to Roadside Chronicles. So tickled me that a lot of you remember the old days of the middle of the night Roadside Chronicles. Those are coming back, man. There's gonna be a lot of those. So I'm excited about that. I'm gonna talk about who I'm driving for soon. But man, last night, before I get into yard dogging, last night we had a massive storm where I'm at right now, and I didn't know that it was going to be storming. So I'm in a sleeper, and I had driven all the way up from central South Texas yesterday, which was a monster drive. And so I was just out last night. But then I felt the truck rocking, and I thought for a second that someone had backed into the truck. You guys know, what I'm talking about. If you drive truck, you know what I'm talking about. Because it just woke me up, and the truck kind of stabilized. And I was like, what the heck? So I get up and go to look, and then it starts rocking again, and I pulled a shade, and it was like the apocalypse outside there. I opened up the weather app, and it was like 70 mile per hour gust with 45 to 50 mile per hour sustained. And boy, for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, this thing was like a ship on water. So APU just kicked on, so you probably feel some vibration, or not. You don't feel it, but you hear it. Anyway, that's 2 minutes into it. Yard dogging. So in my last video, I talked about something I've been doing the last few months. I was yard dogging, and believe it or not, I won't say always have wanted to try that, but since I've been in trucking, I've been curious to try about yard dogging. I've always been fascinated by it, just the fast pace, the hustle and bustle of it, and just watching them finesse trailers in and out of spots that many times will be impossible for a truck like this. So that's what I've been doing the last few months. I won't say the name of the company, but it was a refrigerated distribution center. And I have so much more respect for yard dogs now, which, by the way, corporate America calls them yard jockeys. And that's what all the management, they would not say yard dog. In fact, in their minds, that was like insulting or demeaning to the driver. And I would constantly reference myself as yard dog. I don't know why yard dog would be such an offensive term in so many minds. But anyway, so I was a yard dog for a distribution center, and there was a lot of, first of all, so I've only in my past had experience with Carrier reefer units. They used mostly Thermo King reefer units, and I have to say I'm very impressed with Thermo King reefer units. It really made me realize, well, I don't want to be too hard on Carrier, but I'll just say if I had a preference between the two, it would be Thermo King. It's a much more reliable reefer unit. It's got much more like common sense navigation and just a better system. And not only that, you can prime the reefer. It primes itself. It has a setting in the reefer to prime itself. So on the Carrier units, and maybe this has changed now on newer units, but on the Carrier units, when it ran out of fuel, or if you went and picked up a trailer that's out of fuel, you'd have to open up the doors and pump. There's a little button that you have to push it for like 15 minutes. Just push this button trying to get fuel all the way through the line from the reefer fuel tank to the reefer. Thermo King does that automatically. There's a setting in there and it will automatically prime itself. Just little things like that I was really impressed with. But so at this distribution center, it had, I think, like 7 or 8 live docks. 7 live docks, and the rest were either unloading or loading by the customer, by the company. And every dock was a nightmare. Now the live docks were the best. I would say the least difficult docks, but they were very difficult. In my old Prime days, I would have cringed if I pulled into this customer and saw their live docks, especially if it was full of trucks and only my dock was open. Let me tell you, damn near every single truck that delivered there struggled. They were really, really tight docks. The docks were close together, and there was a wall out in front with a metal fence. There was a brick wall with a metal fence coming out of it out in front, which gave you basically no room to maneuver. Sometimes there were long nose trucks that would come through there, and it didn't matter, how rodeo they were, they struggled because there was just no room out in front. But the rest of the docks, other than those 7, were virtually impossible for a full-time. Well, there were some other docks that the milk trucks came into, but those didn't get used for anything else. So basically every other dock, you'd have difficulties dealing with a full-size truck. And then there were probably 10 docks which were absolutely impossible for a full-size truck to back a trailer into. And then in their lot, most of it was impossible for a full-size truck, especially if it was full of trailers. So I really got this experience of learning trailer angles more in that couple months than I did in my entire time driving for Prime Inc. So that was a really interesting experience. Even though a yard truck is, when you're used to a full-size truck, a yard truck is like a go-kart. It maneuvers so well. You're sitting on top of the engine, so there's no hood out in front of you. And you're really maneuvering trailers just in and out of spots that you never thought possible. Especially if you have some experience, you're going to make it look really good. But I do think that even though the truck gives you some advantages, it definitely teaches you angles in ways you never thought about in a truck. It makes me much less intimidated by a lot of the spots that before I might have been intimidated over. A lot of truck stop spots, a lot of customer spots. I think I'm much less intimidated now just because, and I already had a really good understanding of my angles. You're going to use different angles to get in different types of docks and spots depending on how much room you have and things like that. But now I really, really, really understand angles much better than I ever did. But my respect for yard dogs comes from the fact that I didn't know, and I know now, that the majority of yard trucks have no AC. And if they do have AC, if they're like a brand new truck, year or two old, then it's pretty minimal. But the vast majority, and this includes, I've talked to yard dogs from H-E-B, which is a massive grocery place, talked to yard dogs from Amazon, and I think there was one other one over there, but they all the same thing. And they told me they didn't have AC. Now, you have to realize this is Central South Texas, so we've been in basically 105 degrees, feels like 111 to 118 for the past month or two at least, and you're sitting on top of an engine, an air compressor, and a hydraulic pump, all operating at 105 degrees with no AC. I cannot even begin to describe to you how hot those conditions are. I think I was drinking probably 10 bottles of water a day and felt like I needed to be drinking more. I was drenched in sweat for 10 hours every single day, just baking, full sun, 105 degrees, no AC, no fan, no nothing. And the more I talk to other yard dogs, the more I realize that is basically the case everywhere. So first of all, you got to understand their environment and their conditions. When you see these yard dogs out there, are terrible. It is not comfortable in that truck, and they're baking. I mean, they are just sweating and baking. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it is substantially more physically demanding than I ever could have imagined. And the reason for that is that you're moving, trailers 100 times a day. And every single time, at the minimum, you got to get out and deal with the airlines. But in most cases, you're going to have to go up and down the stairs to go swing doors or move a wheel chock or, whatever it is. You're up and down that stairs so many times in a day. Like, there were days where my knees hurt. Now, I'm not young anymore, but still, I thought I got out of a truck when I was OTR a lot, in and out. It was nothing compared to being a yard truck. You are in and out to the ground, up to the truck all day long. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Running to the back of the trailer. Dealing with all kinds of stuff. It was enormously physically demanding. You're getting out. Oh, and another thing on the heat. Not only, if you're at a refrigerated facility, not only do you have the heat that's just emanating from the engine and the hydraulic pump and air compressor and everything running underneath you, you've got right there outside the door the reefer unit just pushing hot air right into the truck. So you guys who have pulled refrigerated freight, when it's hot out and you get out there to deal with your airlines between the back of the cab and the front of the trailer, that there's hot exhaust coming. It's a refrigerator. It has to push the heat somewhere, and that heat's coming out right there in your face. Well, in a yard truck, if you're pulling around refrigerated units all day, that heat's pushing right into the cab of the truck. The door's right here, and the heat from that, and you could say, well, you could close the door. Yeah, but you're only moving the trailer, 100, 500 feet. So if you close the door, you're just going to open it right back up. So you can't really spend the whole day with the door closed. And if you close the door, there's no air circulation in the truck. It's just, it's like being inside of a heater. It's incredibly hot in there. So anyway, you're getting out and you're dealing with all these reefer units, and you got to get out in the sun and the heat and check their settings. You walk down the docks, and so it's hot as F, and it's pretty damn physically demanding. And then the third thing is the expectations put upon yard dogs are relatively unreasonable. And that's going to be at most distribution centers, because everybody inside, be that inbound that's unloading trailers, or outbound that's loading trailers, or the shop that needs trailers, or the shop that needs trailers moved out of the shop, or this trailer's in the way, can you go move it to help that driver? Everybody needs a trailer moved, every department, and the trailer move that they need is the most important move that exists. So to the shop, what they need you as the yard dog to do is the most important thing, and you need to do it right now. Inbound needs you to do something, and it's the most important thing, and they need to do it right now. Outbound's got ice cream sitting on the dock, and they're waiting on a trailer. They need that right now. They got product on the dock. Everybody needs a trailer moved right now. And you can only move one trailer. So if you're moving 2 or 3 other trailers before you get to the trailer that someone thinks is incredibly important, then they think you're ignoring them and putting them off. So when you're just busting your ass, from the moment I clocked in to the moment I clocked out, I was busting my ass nonstop all day. Felt like I was behind all day. There was rarely was there ever an I'm caught up and I've got a minute to take a breather, ever. I can count maybe 3 or 4 times where I felt like I'm caught up and I can just sit here for 5 or 10 minutes and just, clear my mind. No, it was always behind, go. So now occasionally, especially with the big places like Walmart, you might see a yard dog sitting there for 10 or 20 minutes, but you got to realize that they're probably just contemplating life because they've caught up for once in a day. So it's not like in trucking, in OTR trucking, you're going to have those times where you definitely have to bust your ass. You're at a busy meat plant, or some of these, you got to crank trailers and stuff like that. Some of these customers, you're definitely going to bust your ass, but it's nothing like then you're going to go out on the road and you don't really bust your ass for 1,000 miles. You just drive and listen to podcasts. Yard dogs bust their ass. I mean, they're one speed and it's go 1,000 miles per hour. So I have incredible respect for them. And it's hardcore. So, I definitely will view what they do with a different perspective now and a different level of respect, even though I already had some respect for them, but definitely a different perspective now. If you occasionally find one that's in kind of a bad mood, man, don't take it personal. They're probably just in hell. That's the best way to put that. They're probably just going through some hell. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the fast pace. I like staying busy. It made a 10-hour shift go like nothing, but I was just surprised by the amount of just pure hustle. And, I learned a lot from it too. It was a good thing to kind of keep me busy. Of course, everyone who's watched the last couple of videos knows that it's been a financial struggle with the freight market and just the way it's kind of gone with some of our trucks and some of the, have driver turnover and things like that. So I want you to know, because I've seen a lot of comments of, Eric, why don't you do something? Look, I've been doing something. I've been working. I had another job before that. So I've been working. It's not that I haven't been doing anything. I've been working my ass off. And that was one of the things that I did the last few months. And I really appreciated the experience. In fact, I was doing that last week. So it was kind of an abrupt change that I had to make, which we'll talk about more moving forward. And there's a lot of things that happened there involving prime trucks, for those of you prime drivers, that I can talk about in the future. But we're already at 19 minutes here. But I just wanted to share that video with you. The reason I've got some time to make a video this morning is because for some reason I thought I had to be somewhere at 6 a.m. this morning, and I don't have to be there until 8, and it is 6:40. So I was over there 5:40 this morning, ready to go, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have to be here till 8." Like, oh crap, now what do I do? So yeah, and so anyway, there's going to be other stories. There's some thoughts I have. There's some thoughts I have that I would like to say to other yard dogs and to drivers about yard dogs. I'll talk about that in an upcoming video because there's some things yard dogs can do to really brighten up a driver's day. And there's things drivers can do to really help brighten up a yard dog's day. And they're very simple. And I tried to do that when I was out there. I was very helpful to some drivers, to some prime drivers, while I was a yard dog, voluntarily, in things that took me maybe 2 minutes of my time, even though I was busy as hell, that just made someone's day so much better, and they were so grateful for it. And maybe that's because I was a driver before, so I understood what that would mean to them in that moment of distress. So I'd like to talk about that before, but we're already at 20 minutes. So when I was talking about one of the things I was doing at distribution center, someone did guess it in my last video. Someone said yard dog. So yeah, that's what I've been doing the last couple months for a refrigerated distribution center. It's also interesting, just kind of because I went inside a lot, so I saw the inside of the DC and that whole operation. It was not a capstone facility, which was good, and have some perspective on that too. Anyway, so I'm enjoying the guesses, you guys. Really enjoying the guesses. What am I doing now? That's coming. Maybe tonight in a video. I got a lot that I got to get through today. But obviously I'm in a truck. And I told you guys, if you enjoy Roadside Chronicles and trucking vlogs, that we're definitely going to shift back into the daily journey of trucking here on the channel. So it's good to be back, man. It's good to it's just been, I keep saying it, I don't want this video to be like dread or woe is me type stuff, and that's not what I'm trying to do with these last couple videos. I hope you guys understand that. I'm not trying to be I don't want to be a victim or anything like that. I'm not at all. My point is that I know a lot of you are struggling, and I just know a lot of people feel struggle right now, and I can relate to that. And I think a lot of you can relate to us and what we're going through. So that's why I'm saying it. I'm not trying to get pity or anything like that, but that's why I'm telling the story. Is just, hey, being real out here has been very demoralizing for Jenna and I, and in a lot of ways depressing. And we're just at a point where we're ready to just take the gloves off and fight our way out of this hole. And I'm ready to bring you guys along for that journey. So anyway, be safe, make good decisions, always drive to thrive. Talk to you all soon.